So, would you rather? Wait, first I have to ask you: have you seen Panic Room? It's with
Hell
Joe.
yeah.
Oh yeah, oh
That
yeah. I
movie
knew
was
all.
good. That movie was
Oh,
good.
hello.
Woo! What did she have? What diabetes or something? She needed insulin shot.
I think the daughter had diabetes.
Yeah, the daughter, and she
That's
needed
what
like
made her,
insulin
have
shot.
that fight in her.
Woo!
Uh huh. That's my movie.
Good.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Forrest Whitaker always plays a bad guy, but he's good guy underneath it all.
I know.
I love that. That's complexity. Hmm.
I still
But
haven't seen The Last King of Scotland.
I didn't. I haven't seen that either. I think
You
that
know
came out
how
while we were in
confused
college.
I was as a child of that title, The Last King of Scotland, and then it was like this big black man, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm still confused. I know it's so ignorant, and I never looked it up, but I'm so
What did
confused.
you
Like,
say?
how are you the last king of Scotland? You like bad black African. How you King Scotland white?
You stupid.
Why? I need to look it up because I know it's so ignorant, but I never. It always confused me.
I never looked it up either.
Like
Did it come out when we were in
confused the
college?
hell out of me as a kid. Like, wait, how?
It
How?
come out. I thought it was in college. It's just one of those movies I just brushed over.
We need to look that up. We need
Yeah,
to
we
just
do.
watch it and stop
I
playing.
remember it winning stuff or like being nominated for
Yes,
a
it
lot
brought
of.
all the attention to it, but I was just like,
Yeah.
well, how are you the last king of
You know
Scotland?
what? You know what?
Did black people take over Scotland? I need to just
You
watch
know
it.
what?
I know I'm
Yeah.
talking real ignorant right now, but
Let's make that a thing after quarantine.
it really
Oh
should be.
yeah. Okay. So and you seen Blessed from the Past?
No,
Brandon Fraser?
no, nope,
Christopher Walk.
nope.
This is not gonna work then. Alicia Silverstone.
I do it based off of if I might have Connor's baby.
That's our thing. Our thing is movies.
Last, let me see.
Blast from the Past.
Last from the past. 'Cause there's some stuff I might have seen
Yeah.
and not realized it.
It wasn't a great movie. It's not like the best
You
movie ever.
don't look like it from the pictures I'm seeing. It
It's
look like
fake.
they stole the doggone graphics from Seinfeld with the cover.
Yeah, it looks like that. That's right. But
No,
basically, the
I ain't
premise
see
of the
that movie.
movie,
I ain't see that movie.
the premise. All right, the
Is that the
premise of
girl
the movie
from
is
Clueless?
yes.
No, I ain't see that movie.
All right. Let me give you the premise. Okay. All right. So basically, it's this father who was afraid of like a nuclear war, so he built this whole entire like environment underneath his house in case like there would be a war, that him and his family would be okay. They would be able to live underneath ground for a very long time. Food, water, shelter, everything they need was there. So it happened in like the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
So one night, I think it was a plane that crashed, and he thought it was the end. He thought it was the nuclear war. So he brought him and his family, and Brandon Fraser at the time was a little boy, underground, and they only came up on top ground to like get like few things. And the father, because this happened in the 60s, when they finally went out to the top, it was like 90s or something, and he thought this was the world that was left. So where his house used to be, it was now like a crack house. So he saw
No.
yeah, so he saw prostitutes and whatnot. So he thought this world was ravaged and this is the result of it. So they still thought the end of the world had already came, right?
His family was in there for 30 years.
30 years.
They didn't check
No.
to see
He
if
thought because of how the 60s looks versus what the 90s look, he was like, nope, yep, this is it. This is it. The world has come to an end. There's prostitutes all over the place.
30 years you could have checked to see how things was
He
going
didn't
out there.
think about it. If he thought it was a nuclear war, he knew it wouldn't be safe to go on the top for a while until everything aired out. So even when they came up, they would have like suits and
He
hazmat
should have had a contingency plan to have a radio or something to see.
Listen, stop thinking too much into it. Watch the movie. It's funny. I like it. It's a staple.
Okay.
So basically, would you rather? Would you rather have a panic room
Mm-hmm.
or a whole entire like, mole people kind of existence underground.
I,
uh,
I'd say a mole people existence with some type of connection to the world, so I could
okay, okay,
know after a year what's going on up there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because I don't like the idea of being trapped in a room.
And it's one room, and I
One,
always wanted one.
it's like I get nervous on elevators, bro.
Hmm.
Like, dang it, I got stuck on an elevator before when I was a kid at my aunt's apartment building and screamed so loud and banged on the door. And it couldn't have been more than 10 minutes max.
Hmm.
Maybe not even more than 5, but it felt
Yeah.
like forever. And I remember screaming like to the point where finally it opened up. And
Hmm.
I came outside of the elevator. I ran out, and people were in the hallway looking at me like I was crazy. Like maybe it was like only a couple minutes or something. They were like really disturbed, looked at me, and I remember looking at them, just breathing hard, and just literally running like, and ran straight to my
Hmm.
aunt's apartment. And so I can't imagine being stuck in like an elevator like
Room.
room,
Yeah.
no kind of like sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
Long period of time. So I would love an environment where I could kind of just live.
Right. Grow stuff and have
Yeah, and have
entertainment.
some semblance of like life,
Yeah.
life,
Seriously.
not
I
just a
really,
little box. So yeah, definitely the environment. There's definitely
yeah.
more people living.
I definitely want something underground. I just want like a tunnel
I don't
way
want
that.
anything underground. I prefer to be above ground. I'm looking forward to
Really?
finding land and having a nice house, and maybe even if I could have an indoor garden area like in between the house, like
Mm.
Asian and them be
But
having.
you gotta be underground to be kept secret.
I don't want to be underground.
You gotta be
I
underground.
want the sun.
No, that's it. Is you either I said mole people. Moles don't come out to see the sun. Either you are underground or in a panic room
Oh,
in
you
the
still
house.
talking about in this decision? In this decision, I do,
Oh,
agree, but I'm saying outside of what you,
oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
yeah,
want land. I want sunlight. I want if I'm quarantined like this that I can walk
yeah.
around my house because I got like a park of house.
Yes, I saw that when Diddy was walking out, and he walked like from his inside his house to outside, but it was still surrounded by his house, like
Yeah,
different parts of his house. And I'm like, okay, this is showing me what I need to get ready to
damn,
get for myself because
damn.
it's like y'all outside and living your
Because
life.
all the rich folk they quarantine, but really they alright. They get number one.
Yeah,
They already
quarantine with
got like
like
30 family members who live with them normally, and then they just got
mm,
all this space and land and greatness. Just yeah,
yeah,
you're
you can be out there and be isolated anyhow. That's amazing.
yeah.
That's a
Or you straight have a party with just your family. So yeah, I
yeah.
prefer old people in this situation, but in the real world, I need me some land.
Yeah, because I always thought I wanted a panic room for like like a natural disaster or like burglars or whatever, somebody coming to
Yeah,
jack.
like the tornadoes and stuff. Cause Twister
Yeah,
movie was
that
wild.
way you have like a self-standing room that won't
Man,
be
after I saw
destroyed.
Twister, I was like, I need something they
Oh my goodness, Twister did
attached
change
deep
my life.
into the ground.
Yes, yes.
All these survival tactics, they seem so exhausting though.
Right, to think about
So
it, I
exhausting.
think the
How much
first
can you really prepare for? It's all just so tiring.
you
Sometimes
ever
it's gonna be like, you know what, I'm good. Just if it's time, just take me out.
you know what shut up you know what like first started me with this I would say obsession. Is in eighth grade we read the book Hatchet. You ever read Hatchet? Hatchet, Hatchet. It's about a boy with a hatchet.
Recall.
Huh?
I can't recall.
So it's about this little boy that went to go see either his mother or his father. Somebody. They were divorced. Obviously he was rich because he was on a private plane, and the
Mm.
plane goes down, and he's the only one that survives or something like that.
Oh.
And he has to learn how to survive out in the wild. And from that point on, I always carry me a book of matches in a little Ziploc baggie.
Wow.
And I got a little pocket knife, and I got this little thing, this watch thing.
Pocket knife.
Yeah, and yes, because it was his hatchet that helped him. It held him down. Okay, that's why it was called Hatchet. Um, but like I don't know. I want to be prepared. No matter where I'm at, I just want to be prepared. And those who are prepared never get put in the situation.
You right.
So I feel like if I'm overly prepared, I'll never need it.
It's too much though.
It is. It
I
is.
just want to live my life until, God calls me home. And I want to live it so fully that I'm not even thinking about the end. I want the end to sneak up on me.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting somewhere just waiting for it. I want to just sneak up on me when I'm least expecting it, when I'm having a great time.
Okay. No, I don't want it like that. Look at me. I don't want it like that. She said. I don't. No.
Well, yeah, obviously not while I'm awake and having a great time. Woo! No. No, what movie was that? I thought about it today. That movie, it was a really good movie where the boy, he had like a mom who was just always addicted to these abusive husbands or guys or whatever. And she dropped him off at one point to his two uncles' house, who like lived, two men, older men who lived together. And they the cranky old men, but she thought that they could have like an inheritance, so she kind of just dropped her son off there to kind of worm into their lives to kind of secure an inheritance or something. It was crazy, and they used to tell him these stories of their lives, and they were so just extraordinary stories. He didn't know whether to believe them or not until they died. They died together. They ended up all living together, having a happy family, like adopted him and everything. And they raised him to be a great guy. It was almost like Matilda boy version. Raised him to be a great guy. And they ended up dying flying an old airplane together. Just because they were like super adventurous and brothers, and they were just flying it together, and they crashed into their own shed on their own land, and they just looked at peace. Like they were in the airplane just like, and he went to see them and was just like, this is a good way for them to number one go together, and for them to go. He was just like, this is how they would go out. And again, they had these crazy stories, and when they died, it was such a public thing that like a famous person from one of their crazy stories shows up in his private airplane and is like, are these the infamous what you call it, that my grandfather told me about? And the son is like, so their stories are real? Like, it was such a good
You gotta
movie.
give me, that sounds like a good feel-good movie.
It was such a good film. It was like one of those, I love life, like thoughtful life films that like, there's the human mind, somebody went in the human mind and created this crazy and inventive story, but it has such a great message to it for your life to look forward to it all this time, So like if I were to go in like an exciting way like that, that's one thing. Or in my sleep, it'd be nice, it'd be ideal. I just don't want to sit around waiting for something to happen.
How do we get back to death?
I don't know. I'm so sorry, but that's just what life is,
Yeah.
Two men and a son and
You typing all that out?
movie. Yes. Oh, and there was a lion involved.
What?
Girl, it was wild. Yay! Secondhand Lions. Oh, girl, watch that movie. I would love to watch that again.
Okay.
Secondhand Lions. It is such a good film.
Okay.
Oh, I want to watch it again now. Oh.
Is it on Netflix?
I wonder where it's at. But yes, so I don't know how we got back there. I don't. Is it my turn, or would you rather?
Well, you did 3. Do you want me to knock out my 2? Because I have to think about a third one. I don't know.
Well, this one is the one where I wrote for this, so we can go back and forth in this like we traditionally do.
All right, go ahead.
Would you rather be quarantined in winter or summer?
I want the summer because then I can look out and see the sun. I like this
better.
better.
You can see the sun in winter too.
No,
but if you're stuck inside, do you want to be stuck inside and all this?
No, because I would rather the sun, because winter's already the seasonal depression is real. So add that on top of it. Nah, give me the summer so I can look out and have some hope when I do take a walk or when I do look up at the sky. Like, I'd rather that.
Fair enough. All right, your turn.
All right. Would you rather be a werewolf or a vampire? Real
What the
simple, right?
hell?
But did you think about it? It's real simple, but did you think about it?
Oh.
I want to be Blade.
Are we talking about like the movie kind of vampires
It
or werewolves?
depends which
That's what
kind of,
you gotta think about. Are
because
we talking
movie.
about Underworld? Are we talking about Twilight? Are we talking about
We're definitely talking about. I
Van
don't like
Helsing?
Twilight. I don't like Twilight, so kick that out of there. I don't want it.
Van Helsing, Harry Potterish? Where are we going with this?
We're thinking Blade meet Underworld, which is along the same line. Fighters, both sides. Definitely the werewolves off of Underwood, Underworld.
I would
Definitely.
want to. If we think about Underworld, they actively turned into werewolves and were still present in their minds. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there are werewolves in this world, and werewolf lore and whatnot, where you turn into a werewolf, you don't remember nothing, can't control
I don't
yourself.
like that one. I want like yeah.
Okay, and Blade, was he able to? I haven't seen Blade. Don't hit
Well,
me.
Blade is different because Blade is a daywalker, so he's the only vampire that has half human blood, half
And can he
vampire blood.
control himself with the blood that he takes, so he feels like
No, he puts
himself?
that at bay. So he's not the right example to use. Use all the other vampires because Blade is the exception to the rule because Blade is half and half.
I would choose the werewolf life if we're talking about this kind of werewolf because I like
What?
I like the thought of being able to control myself and my being and my changes. And I feel like most vampire lore, it is or storylines, it always has to do with vampire who can't necessarily control themselves and then want to suck the blood out of other perfectly fine humans who are like staring into your soul while you're doing it. It's like, having to actively be that evil in that moment while
Yeah,
sucking their blood from
and
kids
you're
who
like damning them.
not have the control. I like the control of the
Mhm.
werewolves you proposed, where I can change at will to enhance my strength or go back and I seem to be fine. I don't seem to need to necessarily kill or suck the blood out of something. I can just eat something and be fine. I like the werewolf life. I feel like there's a little more control there.
But no, I would disagree, my friend,
Oh,
because with the werewolves, I feel like they were underground. They can't come out because they can just like if something got a hold of them. Like I think in Underworld they were like underground. Like were they were
they
they walking
normally were fine. I felt like it was the werewolf mixture dude, the one who was like the blue werewolf because he had all their blood mixed together that
around?
had less control. I felt like when you go into Underworld Part 2 and 3, when you get into like the werewolves and their actual ways of being, they seem
Mm-hmm.
to be a lot more in control of what they were doing.
Okay.
Outside of like their turning during the full moon, they still seem to be kind of in their right mind to an extent.
Touche. Touche. A little less vicious, even though they're the beast.
Yes, and it seemed like the underworld, like vampires, they were somewhat in control, but like remember they found out the leader kind of
Mm-hmm.
he killed old girl's family because he was just having a lust to just kill and get
Yeah.
blood, and then raised her as his own type deal. Like I don't want. Mm-mm. And then even still, if we're going into the whole werewolves and vampires can't control themselves, I prefer the vampire life. I mean the werewolf lifestyle then too, where I turn and can't remember anything and can't remember what I did as a werewolf. When I turn into a werewolf,
Yeah.
I'm a monster as a wolf, and then I come back to my human mind. I'm like, whew, felt like I had a rough night. But like I feel
Yeah.
like vampires are like actively mentally there through both processes. I don't like that.
I was gonna go with the more vain answer and go with vampire because one, they live forever.
Oh,
Two, they never age. Uh, and it's like it's tag you're it for them. Like tag you're it. Now you with me. Kind of like they get to pick and choose who's with their who can sit with them. But they are more vicious. I didn't think about
hmm
that, and it's scary. It's weird to
and
think
they're
because
good looking, vicious people. Like they trick
yes,
you and they
even more
attack.
vicious than the beasts that
Yeah,
turn into like werewolves.
isn't
That's
that
crazy.
crazy?
That is crazy. Huh. For humanity, I would go with the werewolves. For the cool tricks, I would go with vampires.
You
Only
know,
thing that Yeah, because they cool like that. They don't age and they can turn and then change other people. They're extremely vain. They party a lot. They party a lot. Like
Yeah.
all they party. Um, I'm a homebody. I'll probably be a werewolf anyway.
Hey.
Yeah, okay. That was it. Good breakdown. Good breakdown.
Thank you. Thank you. And my last one of the evening. Would you rather fast for an entire week, knowing this will all be over if you make it to the end of the week of fasting, like only liquid all the way into the end of the week, or 7 days, or fast for a few days and endure the quarantine for at least a month?
Give me the fast. I fasted for longer than a week.
Oh,
hmm Clarity. Yeah. Hey, in short.
huh?
Hey. Huh?
With your migraines you have?
That's why I tell you, you can
How
get
long
over
did
that
you
hump. It's
fast
the
for? Talk to
flesh.
me, friend. Tell me about it.
The longest I've ever fasted for was 21 days. But then again, that's different. There's different fasts. There's different fasts. Now, if you're only doing a liquid fast, then yeah, I wouldn't go for longer than. But remember, I was doing the lemon detox too, and that's a fast too. Even though that's not, spiritual fast.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a health fast. But you could do it, mind over matter. And then after a certain time, if you
So
know, I feel
21
like
days, is that when you would eat on sundown or something?
that was the Daniel fast. So certain items I would refrain from eating. But like I feel like when you're fasting for whatever reason that you're fasting, especially spiritually, your intentions are
Help you
what
outlast
yeah,
your physical needs at once.
exactly. You put away your flesh to serve your spirit and to figure out what you really need to do and what you really want to do and what you desire and what you're seeking.
Mm,
That's first and foremost. So,
I agree. It definitely
huh?
helped me get through. It definitely helped me get through a few days.
Yeah.
All
Hold
right.
on.
So do you have your final would you rather?
I ain't got nothing. Hold on.
You said you had two. You only gave me
That
like,
was two.
oh, you right. You
I'm thinking.
absolutely correct. Ah, I ain't got no more for you.
Would you rather had known about this whole situation back in November for sure, like knew exactly what would go down, and that this would be, a time that we will be quarantined, or would you not?
Like knowing that we'd be quarantined in March or knowing that we'd be quarantined in November?
In March?
Or not knowing at all?
Not known at all, just like now, like we didn't know exactly, heard
Like
little
we live
things.
life, like even now we just living life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But it still existed. Mm.
You just knew ahead of time.
So either we knew ahead of time that it was gonna go down, or we don't know anything and it still exists even to this day and knocking people out. And we just like, wow, a lot of people getting sick lately.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the choice is between not knowing at all and knowing. I as comforting it was to not know the extent of this thing when we were ignorant and living life
Mm-hmm.
was nice. The ignorance was nice. The ignorance was bliss. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I think about all the things that I did and accomplished up until February, before this really started to take over our lives,
Mm-hmm.
it was a really normal, nice life. I mean, we were being consistent with our podcast. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I was running a whole Black History thing. That was awesome. A good
Yeah.
test of control of all that. Um, Nothing but future plans in the works. We had Bali trip planned, Disney trip planned, a DC trip planned. It was like ignorance was wonderfully bliss. But if my choice was that this thing still occurred and still existed, and I had the choice between knowing and not knowing at all and living life, I would choose knowing.
Mm.
Like it's one thing if it didn't exist,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if it's existing either way, I would choose knowing because number one, I like that it brought me back to my faith because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like as scary as, like, I hate to get back to it, but scary as death is, faith is the only thing that makes it all okay.
Mm-hmm. Touche.
Um, especially for something that we all have to experience anyway. We all need to
Yeah.
really find some type of peace with that. And faith has given me peace and just reminded me of what I loved and missed when I was a church going person.
Mm-hmm.
And I do appreciate that, God. I really, really do. That peace and sense of center. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew so that I could prep a lot sooner,
Yeah.
um, get things in order a lot sooner for me and my fam, savings wise, food
Yeah.
wise, plan out who I'll be quarantined with so it wouldn't hurt so bad. You know, probably work something out to be with my folks and
Yeah.
the baby, like things
Yeah.
like
That one
that.
little change you having your parents would have made this a whole different story.
Yeah. So like things like that, I feel like I would have liked to have known. And then the amount of like get-togethers and things I definitely would never have said. I don't think I said no to much. I'm always kind of down for family outings, but like the kind of nonchalantness of, you know, they'll always be there. We'll always get to hang out. Don't spend your money like now. I just be smart about spending the money, but still making my way out to each
Yeah.
event. Like, I'm glad
Yeah.
I went to our last family event, which was for cousin Tony King, who passed years ago, and we have an anniversary dinner
Mm-hmm.
for him every year. And I decided to go out, me and Magnus, even though it was kind of thought about this pandemic. We
Mm-hmm.
weren't fully locked down yet.
Yeah.
The last time I was with my aunts and everybody, just being, we sat around the table like normal, we ate like normal, we kissed each other like normal. Even though we knew it was among us, we
Yeah.
lived in like normal because we knew it would probably be a while before we saw each other again.
Yeah.
And it was great. I wouldn't have traded that for anything.
Yeah.
So I would kind of do a lot more of that and stuff if I knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
All the way up until quarantine shutdown.
Yeah. I would want to know. Be prepared.
Yeah, more time to be prepared. And God, I wish our government was different. God, I wish our government was better. There's
That's
even
why I'm praying for each and every
Obama
last one of
talking
them.
about this and about how it could be a time where airborne sickness or illness comes about, and we need to have this healthcare plan, his healthcare plan, and all these things in place so that we'll be able to confront it if and when it does occur. And that
Mm-hmm.
this is not a partisan issue. This is like a everybody issue.
Mm-hmm.
There's footage of him saying this years ago, and
Yeah.
it's so frustrating. I've never been super, super political, but I've also, I could afford to not be.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, we could afford to literally not be political, not want to talk about politics, be about politics, look into politics. We could afford to do that shit at one point. It was very freeing. It was that whole ignorance is bliss thing again.
Yeah.
Ever since Obama and then Trump and Bernie and all of them, I've become a lot more political and a lot more aware and appreciative of a good leader.
Yeah.
And
Seriously.
I've never felt so like such a lack in leadership. And it's not like we've always been under a king or queen, but we've
No.
always had a sense of leadership that even if it wasn't the greatest leadership from Reagan and Nixon and all of that, even if it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the tippity top bestest of leaderships, it gave us some sense of comfort. Each and one of those people had the intelligence to give their population, their society, the people that they're leading, some sense of comfort
Yeah.
in the
I had to stop
country that
watching
we're
Trump.
going
I
through.
came up.
And this is
I
the
came up.
first time I feel like I've ever been just so utterly without any form of decent leadership, just decent, just common sense decent.
Yes.
So frustrating because in this time, even though we're all individuals and we're all in America and we can all be whatever we want to be, we still choose and elect someone in the end each time to kind of lead us or encourage us or literally kind of watch over our goings and our estate, if you will, of country
Mm-hmm.
while we all live our everyday lives. And to be so utterly without that support is very frustrating. before and during and after pandemic, being without that support is very disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad to find out that Bernie dropped out because I love me some Bernie. I feel the burn.
Yeah.
But I also he's I call it he's Iron Manning it.
Mm.
The whole last bit of Iron Man in Endgame, where he's literally stated basically that he's choosing the greater good over himself.
Mm.
Iron Man by dropping out for Biden because he literally just doing it so that he can get as many votes behind one candidate to outvote Trump and the crazy people who still support that ridiculous man. He like let himself go just so he could possibly increase the option of not having Trump in this office any further. And I get it and I understand it. I miss him, but he Iron Manned himself, and I will not make that choice in vain. I will go and I will get behind the Biden.
I still can't even believe
Last chance I have
Biden.
numbering Trump. And then I have the hope that
Biden like came out of nowhere. I'm not running.
he
I'm
came
not running. I'm not running.
nowhere. He literally came in the last hour and literally wiped everyone else off the map because the whole point was that we've never had somebody so bad that 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 everybody was willing to just get any semblance
Yeah.
of Obama back in the office. Anybody was just waiting for any semblance of Obama back in the office. We would take that chance. Now, I am none against Biden really, but I wasn't fully in support of all of his policies and his past and stuff. I was more Bernie. He was just a clean candidate who wanted great things that I felt like could impact my future in a positive way. But because a lot of the voters out here, they on the Obama train, and Biden showed up out of nowhere, kind of snatched up any hope of Bernie really taking that stand and making that change. So since that's our only choice now, I'm gonna go up in there the way I did for Hillary.
Yeah.
Press my buttons and hope that it's enough to keep Trump out.
Yeah.
Trump is so bad he about to bring people out of the works who never even cared to vote.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Oh, he's such a terrible leader. At least Biden knew Obama. That's all my hope. That's my only hope. It's crazy because if like a Michelle or somebody ran, man.
Oh, hello.
You know what would have been an absolutely dynamic coupling that probably would have also blown everything out of the water?
What?
If Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders got together as a president and VP,
yes,
the powerhouse they would have created, they would have overshadowed Biden just by their all the possibilities that they represented together. I was so disappointed that out of all those freaking Democratic candidates, none of them took a note out of the scandal book and just hooked up for the sake of the vote. They did that in the scandal. Take notes.
Yeah.
And every time it was like harsh and scandal, they'd be like, well, now we've gotten together and we're VP and president. Perfect. That's great. That's two worlds together. I'm down. Like, I didn't pick up Bernie or Elizabeth. Like, dude, really bust this out. Then you could have like so many votes without actually the bitterness behind it.
I would like.
Like, who Biden gonna pick? Please don't pick some other white man unless it's Bernie.
I know. I'm so scared about who he's gonna pick. I would love for him to pick Elizabeth Warren.
Elizabeth Warren, Bernie, or I'll even take the Yang dude who thought everybody should have $1,000 every year. There was good ass plans out here. None of the black candidates were on my list.
I don't feel like he's gonna pick Bernie though. It
would be amazing if he did, but no, he won't. He just doesn't seem like. I'm sorry, Biden seems like an airhead to me. Everyone loves him because he was attached to Obama, but he just seems like he's floating. Like his whole campaign, his thoughts.
Yeah, I don't feel anything. Like my heart doesn't feel
like
anything.
They were like, Biden, you got a chance. Just throw your hat in the bucket. It really seems like he has a lot of things that he's really fought for this position to make a difference.
Yeah.
It seems like it's like all the title.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'd rather the figurehead with everybody else pulling the strings than the Trump shit we got going on now. If those are my only two chances, I'll take the balloon head.
Yeah.
He just smiles and waves, boys. Smiles and waves. Like, just call Barack, take some of his notes, and put some of that policy in, and then I'll be all right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Damn.
Right? When it breaks down to that, that's the choices.
Options.
Yeah, seriously, that's crazy. The options we have, the few options we have.
And if Trump wasn't in the running, all those other people would still be in the running. Like we still be. Literally, everybody just dropped out because we're just trying to get Trump out at this point.
Yeah. Hi, baby. Sorry. Okay. Hi, baby. Hi.
Oh my God! Oh, girl.
Oh.
All I saw was the bitties. All I saw was two bitties, and from a distance, because the bra is almost the same color as the person, it looked like male pecs. So I was sitting there like, you got some grown man pecs coming from behind it.
Yeah, just chilling. Just chilling.
Just
Look,
chilling. He was coming out like, yo, excuse me. I'm like, Lisa. Lisa. About to cover back his eyes.
Been here the whole time. He's been in here.
Oh, don't look, baby. Don't look. Oh, that was funny. But yeah, I think that was some good information. Go ahead and close us out, Lisa.
Heads up, maximum. Okay.
Do the laugh, live, listen thing.
Hold on, because it's about to. How many minutes do we have? 60 minutes? Oh, okay, we still got time. All right. So, that was awesome. Glad we got to talk. Feels good, and we suggest that everybody does because
without lag or interruption.
Yeah, you need to laugh. You need to talk and connect with people. Flesh out your ideas and your concerns. Let somebody know. Don't keep it in your head. Don't keep it in your heart. Let it go. Give it some air. Let somebody else hear it so they can talk back to you, talk you down sometimes. And remember, we're in this together. We truly are, all of us. So always remember to laugh. I forgot.
Laugh, live, listen.
I always want to say listen the second time.
You always mixing stuff up. You low-key dyslexic female. Always mixing up words and stuff.
All right. So remember, we're all in this together. So remember to laugh. Please live. And please listen.
Because we shall live and not die.
Hello? Hello? Hello, somebody? You better put it out there. You shall live, not die. Speak it, believe it, receive it.
Speak it, believe it, receive it. Ooh.
Right.
I'm a good message and a good shirt.
You do know though, with any mentioning of COVID-19, YouTube flags it, or like I think they don't monetize it. I mean, we're not monetized anyhow, so
I know we're super free right now.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter.
Kindness of our hearts.
just remember that. Just I mean, just put it out there.
All right, no worries.
All right.
Means no worries.
All right, let me.
For the rest of your days, it's our problem free. Philosophy. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.